Good, happy Sunday evening, May 17, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Sunday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Sunday evening, so let's begin. First up, coronavirus in New Hampshire, what you need to know. Let's take a look. And here's that COVID-19 in New Hampshire. There are 3,556 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,466,682 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 171 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 347 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire, and 88,730 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where current cases of COVID-19 are. Northumberland, 1 to 4 cases. And this map here shows you total cases of COVID-19 in New Hampshire. Northumberland, 1 to 4 cases. Now let's take a look at this chart here. Let's start with new cases each day. In the purple, new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red, deaths. This chart here, current cases. Current COVID-19 cases in the purple. Current hospitalizations in the orange. And this right here, total cases. Total COVID-19 cases in the purple. Total hospitalizations in the orange. Deaths, red and blue, recovered. Now let's take a look at this chart by age group. This chart by female and male. This chart, risk information. This chart here, race/ethnicity of cases. And this chart here, percent of New Hampshire population. And your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. Be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Man charged in connection with January Bow home invasion. Take a look at this photo right here. This suspect, Duncan Levy, is charged. A man was been arrested in connection with a home invasion in Bow in January. Duncan Levy, 18, of Manchester, was arrested Sunday on charges of felony theft, robbery, and burglary, Bow police announced. On January 29th, a man reported that he was attacked during a home invasion on Woodhill Hooksett Road. The man was not injured. Police said at the time that 3 men were involved. On Sunday, they said they still expect to make additional arrests. "92 new COVID-19 deaths reported in Massachusetts. 1,077 new cases confirmed. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health confirmed 92 new COVID-19 related deaths across the state Sunday, bringing the state's total to 5,797. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases rose to 86,010 after 1,077 new cases were reported by state health officials on May 17th. To date, 460,826 tests for the virus have been conducted in Massachusetts after 12,737 new tests were reported Sunday. No new coronavirus-related deaths, nearly 40 new cases in Maine. The Maine Center Disease Control and Prevention on Sunday announced 39 new cases of coronavirus and no new deaths. The 39 cases bring the total number of cases in Maine to 1,687. Meanwhile, 176 of those cases were classified as probable. The number of confirmed cases is likely an underrepresentation of the actual amount of cases in Maine, since not all individuals are being tested. A total of 70 Mainers who tested positive for coronavirus have died. The Maine CDC said 1,028 people have recovered from the virus, an increase of 16 from Saturday. Taking away reported deaths and patients who have recovered, there are 589 active cases compared to 566 on Saturday. New York City beaches will not reopen for Memorial Day weekend. New York City beaches will not be open for Memorial Day, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced Sunday, saying it's not safe. It's not the right thing to do. The idea here is to put health and safety first, de Blasio said. No one has to be reminded we are the epicenter of this crisis. The announcement comes 2 days after Governor Andrew Cuomo's announcement about the reopening of beaches in New York State for Memorial Day weekend. Beaches in New Jersey, Connecticut, and Delaware are also opening. While walking on beaches are permitted with proper social distancing measures, the mayor said beaches will remain closed for swimmers. NYPD and NYC parks will increase their patrols in those areas. De Blasio gave examples of some places opening up too quickly and seeing an uptick in cases. For whatever reason, they decided to reopen quickly, that even though there was a lot of evidence that it was safe, he said. De Blasio said the city will add fencing to control entry points and access to beaches will be further restricted if social distancing or no swim rules are not observed. Opening later in the summer is contingent or further reduction of COVID-19 and resumption of non-essential activity and travel, the mayor added. NYC Parks is training lifeguards to ensure staffing if the city decides to reopen beaches safely. Driver killed, 2 off-duty troopers injured in head-on collision in Maryland. 1 man died and 2 off-duty state troopers were injured in a head-on crash Friday on State Highway on Maryland's eastern shore, the Maryland State Police said. Authorities in a statement said the crash on Maryland Route 153 happened around 7 p.m. The state police said a sports utility vehicle trying to pass a car crossed the center lane and collided with unmarked patrol vehicle. The SUV then also struck a car it had tried to pass. The state police said the driver of the SUV died at the hospital. He was identified as John M. Simmons, 62, of New York. The 2 off-duty state troopers were identified as Graham King, 23, and Ashley Thorne, 25. King was driving the state police vehicle from which both troopers had to be extracted. King was transported by helicopter to Baltimore Hospital, while Thorne was taken by ambulance to one nearby and later released. King's condition was not immediately clear Saturday. The state police said neither driver nor passenger of the car that Simmons attempted to pass reported any injuries. North Carolina COVID-19 cases pass 18,500 as state exceeds daily testing goal with more than 10,300 tested. Sunday update at 11 a.m. North Carolina health officials reported 530 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the statewide total to 18,512. 7 more people have died, bringing the total of the state's deaths to 659. The state will report the updated amount of recoveries by 4 p.m. Monday. Since Saturday, there have been 10,358 more completed coronavirus tests reported throughout North Carolina, exceeding the state's testing goal of 5,000 to 7,000 tests daily. There have been 248,944 tests to date. 12 more patients are hospitalized, bringing the state's total of hospitalizations to 493. Arbery County is still the only county without a reported COVID-19 case. Be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Nearly 45,600 cases of COVID-19 in Florida, 1,973 deaths in the state. According to the Department of Health, there were 45,588 total cases of COVID-19 in Florida as of Sunday morning. At least 1,973 Florida residents have died from COVID-19. And again, be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Montrose Farmers Market reopens, but vendors worry about attendance and COVID-19. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC 7, California.
The market in Montrose reopened this morning while keeping in mind safety for everyone.
And that is where we find Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Juarez live where things are just starting to wrap up. How's the turnout been, Leticia?
I think the turnout has been a lot better than what vendors had expected. They were worried that people may not come out here because they were concerned over coronavirus. But if you see, there's definitely quite a few people here. Now, vendors were up early this morning setting up their tables and tents as they prepared for the market. And shoppers will find those familiar fresh fruits, vegetables, and the flowers that are lining Honolulu Avenue this morning. But they also noticed a few changes. Customers were asked to cover their faces as they went and shopped, and there was hand sanitizing stations for them to wash their hands. Market organizers also placed chalk marks on the ground to help with that physical distancing. Vendors were telling us that some of their customers were asked not to touch their produce, that they would be handling it themselves, although some vendors did continue to allow that. And as for those samples that all of us are used to getting here at the farmers market, those are discontinued just for health and safety reasons. The market operators say they had 31 vendors here today, which primarily focused on produce and grocery items. And the shoppers we spoke to say they were just happy to have this back open so that they could support local businesses.
This is where you can get like the freshest stuff. So I was very excited to hear it was opening again.
We've been waiting for weeks, so we're really excited to be back. Take Up Farms is wonderful. They're out of Piru, so I always come here and a few other vendors. We have our favorites.
Now, again, this was the first week that it was back open, and in order to kind of pay for those additional precautions with those hand sanitization and masks, the operators did tell us they did have to raise their fee on a couple of the vendors who process the packaged produce here. But we do want to let people know, especially if they want to come out here, this is about to wrap up. The farmers market here shortening the hours from 8 until noon. I think people are used to coming out here and it being open until 2 o'clock, but today and going forward, the operating hours will be from 8 in the morning until noon.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Most states easing restrictions for coronavirus. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
And we begin tonight with almost every state in America easing restrictions this weekend amid a chilling prediction from the CDC. More than 100,000 deaths in the U.S. by June 1st. The death toll rising at an alarming rate, now topping 88,000. Overall, though, cases are on the decline. 48 states now easing restrictions, but none of them with a suggested 14-day drop in cases. 5 states, including Texas, reporting spikes of the virus. Beaches in New York, take a look, New Jersey and Connecticut, among those reopening for Memorial Day weekend, some using this weekend as a trial run. Gyms preparing to welcome back customers with some restrictions. Some members may even need to make an appointment first. And horse racing returns to Churchill Downs. Horses on the track, no fans in the stands. ABC's Trevor Ault in New York leads us off.
Tonight, Americans taking the warm weather as an invitation to leave home, crowding together by the thousands in parks and flocking to beaches.
Talking to friends, we're having a good time, making the best of it.
In Belmar, New Jersey, hundreds lining up, many ignoring social distancing, and they're not even going to the beach, just trying to get passes for the summer season.
Thank you. Thank you. We've been down at the Jersey Shore like the past 25 years, and nothing ever like this.
While many public beaches are still closed, state beaches in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Delaware will open Memorial Day weekend, with some restrictions like no concession sales to try to keep people apart.
Weather's warmer, they're going to come out. How do they act when they come out? And that is the big question mark.
Hoping to prevent a second spike in cases, NYPD officers handing out face masks on the Coney Island boardwalk. Mayor Bill de Blasio doing the same in Queens. Brooklyn's popular Domino Park, white circles spaced 6 feet apart to promote social distancing. And crowds of people waiting to get into the most popular sections of Central Park, New York City deploying more than 2,000 of what they call social distancing ambassadors, encouraging people to stay 6 feet apart. And across the country, others are testing the boundaries of ongoing restrictions. A New York man who traveled to Hawaii arrested, authorities accusing him of violating quarantine orders, saying they were tipped off that he repeatedly left his hotel because he posted several beach photos on Instagram. In Chicago, as several churches push to hold services, Mayor Lori Lightfoot with a stark warning.
This is not playing Russian roulette. This is playing with a gun that's fully loaded and cocked.
The original Pancake House in Norco, California is defying its state's orders, reopening its dining room with workers wearing gloves and masks and blocking off booths to create space.
Our employees and businesses literally are living paycheck to paycheck on a best case scenario. You can see the dining room right now. We're decently busy.
At least 48 states now easing restrictions, though in at least 5 of them, the number of new cases is on the rise. The governor of Texas sending a task force to Amarillo after a dramatic surge in cases stemming from meatpacking plants, the state now recording its deadliest 48 hours so far. In Ohio, where restaurants can now reopen outdoor areas, the Cincinnati bar's patio quickly filling up on its first night back. And they're off. And tonight in neighboring Kentucky, an institution having to adapt.
We wanted to do this in a very responsible way.
Historic Churchill Downs resuming racing with the seats empty, believed to be the first races with no spectators in the site's 145-year history.
one of the many bizarre scenes from this pandemic. Trevor All joins us now from Central Park in New York. Trevor, I walked through the park today. It is very packed. The city is, though, taking a new approach when it comes to enforcing social distancing.
That's right, Tom. After backlash over racial disparities in the number of arrests and tickets issued and its general confusion over the rules, New York City's mayor says it's time to reset social distancing enforcement. And tonight, the NYPD says they'll no longer arrest people for violations, though the NYPD commissioner has denied any allegations of racist policing. Tom?
Trevor All leading us off tonight from Central Park. Trevor, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for joining us for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Have a great rest of your Sunday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with more news. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye, everyone.